A recording is in progress. I've got my hair all did from the wind. Jeff is all fired up from the DMV, and we got a great guest coming on. Davis Payne from the Ottawa Senators will be with us today. Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. We had to push back a little bit today because I had to go down, and I got locked out because I couldn't answer any of my 4 questions or all 4 questions at once on the DMV. So I'm like, okay, well, that's so good. So
that's who you want flying the plane.
I remember all my passwords just on my DMV one, and like, give me 1 question, don't give me 4.
Question. What are they asking? Yeah. You like bananas or oranges when you were a child?
Yeah, exactly. And I thought I got them all right, but I didn't. So then I went down to a kiosk here in Vegas, and it's inside a AAA, and they're all over me about wanting to join AAA. So I kind of
American Automobile Association. Is that what the AAA stands for?
Yeah, I think so. And I think they're a good gig, but everything now with your insurance, you get towing and roadside assistance. So I don't know, but anyways, I got a card, so I'll maybe look into it a little bit more. But we've renewed the vehicle, which was the main target of today. But I had to push Lord Bag back about 45 minutes while I was busy fumbled.
I was busy chasing Henry around the beach while he was taking poops, and he's chasing other dogs. And then they're doing the junior lifeguards. So he just sees all these kids running. And he's like, I should be running with them. And he starts chasing after them. I'm like, oh God. So
you know what?
Eggs.
If we were going to rate the dogs from 1 to 3, Lou is the one you don't want to lose because you'll never catch him.
He's gone.
Pearl, she'll shut it down after a while because she might think you might have food.
Right.
But Henry, come on. You couldn't catch Henry? I mean,
it's really funny. You say that, but it's really funny. He's just all of a sudden I'm like, he Ben Johnson's it out every so often. It's really funny. It just goes. I'm like, where did you get that from? You've been saving that up for 2 weeks. Yeah,
well, that's awesome. Because the last time I took the dogs out when you were when I was at the house, I took the dogs out and I make sure Lou's in a really I got him on the leash good. Pearl, you know what? I make sure I got her too because she'll go after other dogs. Henry, I just popped him over the fence on the beach and let him do whatever he wanted. I didn't think he could go more than 10 yards in either direction.
No, he goes. It's pretty funny. Like it's just like it's Eeyore and then it's Tigger. It's pretty funny.
That's awesome. Well, now
it was a good morning.
That's good. Well, it's always nice when you can take the dogs for a walk. And I see you've got it looks like very pleasant day going on over your shoulder there. The palm trees and the beach.
The palm trees are palming. The ocean is oceaning. The sand is sanding. And it is fantastic down here in Long Beach, California. Home of
Ian Lord Beck.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of Long Beach OGs would be snapping if that's what all of a sudden Long Beach was known for. Some Canadian coming down here. This is my home, not yours.
I was trying to think. I guess Long Beach, the home of the Queen Mary.
Queen Mary, Snoop Dogg. Isn't it also where the biggest plane ever took off out front of our house?
Spruce Goose. Yeah,
Spruce
that's
Goose
right.
Took off for a bit.
Spruce.
What else? What else do we have here? The Long Beach Airport, which is fantastic. Yet they put a hell of an airline in there called Southwest, so they took down that. Hey, what do you think of Spirit buying JetBlue or JetBlue buying Spirit?
I think it's really interesting. I thought that Spirit and Frontier, for those that might not be aware, low cost carriers, I thought they were a match made in heaven. Really, they have the same airplanes. A lot of similarities there, and they have a really similar product. JetBlue's product is quite upscale, and Spirit was bare bones. And I don't know how they're going to do that. I know that JetBlue wants airplanes and they want pilots and staff, so that's kind of how they think they're going to do it. I give them credit for going big on this, but I'm just not sure. I mean, how they're going to do it. They're going to do away with the Spirit business model, bring in the JetBlue. So that kind of leaves Frontier without a dance partner. So we'll see what happens there. But to be quite honest with you, in the States, it's very difficult for any of the other airlines to compete with United, American, Delta, and Southwest, because those guys are about 80% of the capacity in the country. So, and then all your international travel, pretty much all of it is going to be United American and Delta. So anyways, I don't know if I really give you an answer, but I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how JetBlue proceeds. A lot of really good people at Spirit. They take great care of me when I fly over back and forth to work on them. And JetBlue's been really good to me too. So I wish them the best. I'm interested to see how the rest of the industry reacts, because now they're the 5th biggest airline in the United States.
The rest of the industry reacted like this. What? It was a long week. It's a long weekend up in Canada, or we're recording this on
today.
Monday. And it was Riverboat Days, big fun up in Terrace, and it was actually really hot up there as well. So it would have been a great weekend to go to Riverboat Days, have a good time. Trooper came to town, which is funny because I don't think anybody from the original band in Trooper is in Trooper now. I think it's just they keep selling the name, and we got to get some better bands up in our Terrace, British Columbia area. By the way, I got a better hairdresser, a little bit of a bowl cut going on. Anyways.
Well, I mean, what you're telling me is you're just a 3 dressed up as a 9. You're only wasting my time. Look it up. There it is, Trooper.
Oh my God, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, look it up, Trooper. Hey,
you would have thought we practiced that. That was so good.
No, you know what? I didn't know Trooper was there this weekend, but I do know they're giving out, I think today, the beach volleyball championship trophy, which I think is one of the coolest things I talked about a couple weeks ago with Riverboat Days.
Mm-hmm.
Look up Trooper, big band in the 70s. And then every once in a while, I mean, there's another band, Chilliwack, that we talk about once in a while because I have it on Yacht Rock, and they come on, and because they've been gone so long. So anyways, people are getting bored with us talking about our bands, but
Jeff and his Yacht Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so let's get to hockey. And before we get to our interview here, our interview this week, Davis Payne, originally from Campbell River, I think.
Port
Alberni, same thing.
Yes, very similar.
Very similar. Ended up living in Kamloops, played in the Western Hockey League, ended up playing in the NHL, ended up playing in the East Coast Hockey League, where he started his coaching career, has been head coach of the St. Louis Blues, assistant coach with the Los Angeles Kings, also an assistant coach with the Buffalo Sabres, and the Buffalo Lifesavers. But butterscotch flavor, and now is a assistant coach in Ottawa, and just a good guy. I've known him for a while, and it was nice of him to come on. He's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to talking to him. Jeff, you played against him at some point?
Yeah, I played against Davis in the International League,
League. That was back before.
You know what? He was a big grinding winger, left-handed shot, and he was pretty greasy. And I think people are going to be really interested. I am interested to ask him about the trail of his coaching career, because he's kind of done it all. And we'll dig in a little bit and see if he can enlighten us, because a lot of these people, and I think Davis might be one of them, we'll ask him. I don't think he ever left the game. I think he's been in the game since he retired as a player. That would have been so he's 20 years-ish as a coach. Pretty impressive. So.
Very impressive to be able to, we talk about it a lot, having a second passion after hockey, after your hockey career ends. And you're still a very young man when your hockey career ends. Very few people Yager it and retire at 50 and then come back at 52.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you ever playing when Gordie Howe was around?
Well, that was right around the time. That was a transition from horse and buggy to steam, right? Is that what you're asking me? The steam train. Mark Howe was around, his boy, Gordy was probably finishing up when I was playing junior or something, but I would have loved to have played against Gordy, but I never did. I played against.
But he was in his 50s
son.
when he
yeah, 50 something. Mark and Marty. The other boy was Marty. Mark turned out to be just a really, really solid D in the NHL for a long time, and Marty played as well. So
did they get the respect they deserved because they were dealing with their dads? Just it's like being a Gretzky boy, like a brother. Did they get the respect though?
I think they did. I definitely Mark. I mean, Mark was a really solid D, really good player, and he had some really good years and played really well. And I think he was in Detroit. I might be wrong, but I think he's in Detroit for one of their cups, maybe more. So the Howe family, like the Gretzky family, synonymous with hockey. And I will tell you, a couple friends had their kids in Gretz's hockey school. With Keith was up there last week. I don't know if Wayne was around. He was in the area, but I don't know if they saw him. Keith, and then what's the other brother's name? I played against Keith. They were up in Idaho, anyways, up in Coeur d'Alene. Gretz has got his hockey camp, and they had a great time. So another great family, obviously, Keith, in the game.
I'll drop it right now. Keith has got something to do. He's a proud sponsor of Super Deeker. So Keith is involved with the actually not, well, might be Brent. Is it Brent? Is Brent the other
Brent
one?
That's actually, I guess I played against Keith and Brent. Brent.
Yeah. Well, they have something to do with Super Deeker, along with enjoying orange slices. You can go to superdeeker.com. You can use the code slices. You can get yourself a little bit of a discount there. You can teach your kids how to puck handle better than Jeff ever could. Not better than I ever could, because I was fantastic. The only reason I didn't play in the NHL was because I didn't feel like it.
You can't go to mute when you finish that line, because you didn't what?
Because I didn't feel like it.
That's
just
right.
Didn't feel like it. I've got other things to do. Enjoy your NHL.
Yeah, exactly. I want to live with four other guys in a one-bedroom apartment while I try and break into comedy. That's what I want to do.
Oh, you're coming. Your counter punching today is amazing. It's just...
Well, I've seen it. I've been along the whole time for this ride, and
you know what? The only part of the ride,
stop,
the only part of the ride that you didn't you weren't along with was when I was living in New York. I don't know how I lost touch with you while I was in New York.
Well, but didn't we get together? See, I'm claiming New York too, but I thought we got together one time in New York. I remember I thought we were walking like through Greenwich Village. Obviously, it meant way more to me than you. I was out in New York. I thought for sure that you and I crossed paths in New York, but we were talking out there. And then when you came out to LA,
I talked to you on the phone. I think I talked to you on the phone a couple times, but it was just it was that time of pagers and phones, and it was difficult to get a hold of people. And it wasn't just like a pick up and text. It was, you had to put an effort into it. So
hey, I thought I went to one of your shows in New York at one of the places that guy kind of helped you get your start, but I'm not. I can't remember everything.
Really, maybe it's me that's having the blank out on this.
Maybe but the other part of it too is I might have just cut you loose when you walked out of Terrace, and I was like, he's got to find himself. He's on the road. He's walking.
Oh, you guys came when I started in Vancouver. You guys came out. You guys had the store up in North Van. You guys came see me in Vancouver at a couple places. And then yeah, that's it.
Okay, good.
And Terrace and Prince George, I remember a couple of interesting places I ran into you. But yeah, I don't know. This is a hockey podcast. Let's talk about my comedy career.
I think is Painter. He's ready to go.
He's ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Davis Payne. Today's guest, originally from Port Alberni, one of the places I bombed my ass off when I first started doing comedy on a Wednesday nights. They'd do a welfare Wednesday there, and it was tough. Drafted by Edmonton, coached in LA, coached other places, and now he's in Ottawa. Please welcome Davis Payne. Hi, Davis.
Hey, Ian. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So you're on your summer break right now, or are you working? What's going on?
Summer break. We as a staff, we just shut everything down till August 1st. We might talk once on the 1st, but we'll leave the put together stuff to the management, and it's full break time.
Did you walk away? So you do a development camp at the beginning of July, right? And then you guys just, when you leave there, you're like, we're on vacation now. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, we actually, with our development camp, it was so quick after the draft. Our head coach is the only guy that went in just because he was close.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of left it up to our development staff. We had some Zoom meetings just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, but most of the kids we had seen or know. We traded some picks away, which was a good thing for us. So we didn't even go to development camp. I stayed home.
Nice. Good for you. And my partner here, Jeff Sharples, did you guys play against each other?
Yeah.
What, how do you guys know each other? I know you guys got the same glasses, but how do you know each other?
Well, I think Jeff's a little older than me. And I knew of him, and I want to say we might have crossed paths in the IHL a bit.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look. I also believe he might have piloted one of the planes we were on a time or two.
Yeah, and that could have been actually, you know what, that I'd have to think back, but I think when you were in San Antonio, right?
That's right.
And then I was in, I believe, Utah at that time. So we'd have played against each other there. And then Davis coached in the ECHL up in Anchorage, right?
Yeah.
And so I was in Vegas helping out a little bit. So we would cross paths there. And then, I was flying for Horizon at the time. So I would have the ECHL teams every once in a while, say we're going to Boise or somewhere else. And you guys would always come down from Anchorage and bounce through Seattle, correct? So there's a tie in there too. But, we talked about a little bit before we came on, Davis, just maybe it's always interesting, the paths. You've been in the game a long, long time. So once you played and you came out of the game, kind of take us through where you went coaching and bring us up to where you are now in Ottawa. Like the kind of people, I think they'd be shocked at how many twists and turns and the path that a lot of people take to get to where you are today.
Yeah, it requires a lot of moving boxes, that's for sure. But no, it was a wonderful path in that I finished in the IHL. And there was a new team in Greenville, South Carolina, where I currently am, coming into the East Coast League. And coach there asked me if I was entertaining getting into the coaching side of things once I was done. And I was. I'd had that thought process in mind for a few years. And so I signed up here to finish the last 3 years of my career playing, coaching, and working side by side, building the team and developing the team. And the halfway through the first year, I got injured. And that injury lasted about a full year. And by the time I tried to come back, I was no good anymore. And so I got into full-time assistant coach on that bench. And by the Christmas time of my third year, there was a team in our division that fired their coach. My head coach said, "Hey, do you want to put your name in for it?" And I said, "Well, if you're willing to stick your neck out for me, you think I'm ready, have at it." And they hired me. That was in Florence, South Carolina, and was there for a couple of years. And then they had an ownership change. Then I had to tell my wife that we're moving to Anchorage, Alaska, which was obviously a big, big change, but it was so awesome for me and my family and the people we met up there and the experiences we had. It was just unbelievable. And we were able to have a lot of success up there. We had an affiliation with the St. Louis Blues at that time. And so the relationships through the Blues kind of built over time. They brought me into Peoria, their American League farm team in the AHL after 4 years in Anchorage. And then I was from assistant coach first year in Peoria, then head coach for the next year. And then halfway through the following year, I was sitting down to watch the Winter Classic on TV, and I got a phone call from the GM of Peoria. He said, "You're going up tomorrow." I said, "What are you talking about? Our players go up, not the coaches. The players go up." And he said, no, you're coaching in St. Louis tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh boy, this is something." And so family and I drove down there, introduced to the team, and was head coaching in St. Louis for 2.5 years from that point.
Who did you replace there?
What's that?
Who did you replace in St. Louis?
Andy Murray. Andy Murray had been there. I want to say he was probably there for about 5-6 years. And he was kind of a guy, through training camps. He was a mentor of mine, and was really, really kind and professional and reaching out to me as I was on my way down there and kind of wishing me luck more than anything, and telling me he thought I was ready. And so with both feet, we jumped in, and that lasted for 2.5 years. And then the move out to Los Angeles, didn't have much going on. Called up Daryl Sutter. He was looking for a guy. And he said, well, come on out to the farm. So I flew it to the farm the next day, and I was all prepared. I had computer, I had notes, I had presentations, and the computer bag sat by the door for 36 hours, never got touched. We drove around the farm. We talked a little bit of hockey, talked family. We checked on the cows. Next morning, he took me to the airport and said, if you're good, I'm good. And that was it. And so the next 5 years, we worked out in Los Angeles, where I met Ian. And from there, it was a great experience. We did a heck of a lot of winning there. But as change happens, we were moved on to Buffalo for a couple of years. It was played a little bit of the part of the Buffalo rebuild, which has been going on for quite some time. I think they're on the right track now. But then got introduced to DJ Smith, who's a young coach in Ottawa. Was really impressed with his energy and his attitude and his knowledge. And he built the staff, and now we've got a team that we feel has got a great foundation and real good energy, and there's real bright things to come. So it's been, full continental experience. We've been to the top and the bottom of it, and all 3 leagues, and it's just been great. My daughters have had awesome experiences through it. I just married my oldest off a couple of weeks ago, and so it was a relationship that grew from the game of hockey. So it's been something that's, we just kind of go with the flow. And now we're back here in South Carolina as our permanent home. And I kind of got it backwards here. I come down here for the heat, and I head up to Ottawa for the cold. So
you're getting both done.
At some point I'll figure that out. But anyways, that's kind of the Cliff Note journey.
I love it. So you grew up in Port Alberni, though, right? That's where you're born. You're raised there.
I was there for a short time. I was probably there till I was 2.
Oh, so long.
My dad was from Toronto. We moved back east to Thunder Bay for a couple of years, and then right back to Kamloops. And so
I didn't know you were Kamloops.
Yeah, so I call my hometown, Kamloops was my hometown for me. I grew up there from the time I was 5 to the time I left when I was 17. So that, when we won the Stanley Cup, that's where I brought it back to, and we had our big party there, and friends I grew up with. It was great to be around that. But
that's why you can deal with that summertime heat in South Carolina, because you're from Kamloops, the hot spot of Canada. Oh my God, you know how to do it. Question for you. So Kamloops Blazers call you up and say, hey, we want you to take over the team. Do you leave Ottawa and become the general manager of the Kamloops Blazers, just because you grew up there and that's what you need to do?
It might be a tough sell with the wife, but I had conversations about going out there and coaching. This would have been probably 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. They had gone through a coaching change, and had great conversations with them. And it was just one of those things that, once you're in the National Hockey League, you don't want to leave. And right. As long as you can stay, you kind of try to get any opportunity to stay at this level. And that's kind of what I did.
I see.
Hey, Davis, you talked about Daryl. We talk about Daryl all the time, but talk about some of your mentors, some of the people that have really made a big impact on you as not only as a coach, but as a person, and maybe try to emulate and add to what you bring.
Well, just early on, when I was playing in the Boston organization, there's two guys there. One of them still coaching. One of them is no longer coaching, but the head coach there was Bob Francis. And he was the kind of guy that spoke a language that I understood as far as X's and O's and, what the team needed. And he also really knew how to push my buttons. And so it was a love-hate respect. And in the end, he was the guy who really kind of lit the fire as far as understanding what the coach is going through and how he thinks. And it resonated with me. One of the players on that team was Peter Laviolette.
Oh, wow.
So we played together for 2 years, and actually we co-chaired a seat on the card table in the back of the bus. Now, neither of us were big money guys, so we split the seat. So we split profits, we split losses, and we split time out at the seat. One of us would be going good. You'd stay. If all of a sudden you need to go to the bullpen, you'd look up the front of the bus and you'd give it this one, see if you could change the luck, and he'd get back in there. So we had some good memories that way, but we stayed in touch. He worked his way through the minors. He was in Providence for a long time as I was kind of making that trip through South Carolina, Alaska, that type of stuff. And it was always one of those things where we talked systems, we talked personnel, we talked all those kind of things. So those were kind of the guys that kind of set it off for me. Obviously working through all that and working for a guy like Daryl, he's clearly a mentor to me. What you see from a media standpoint is it's good viewing, and it gives you a laugh, but you got to also understand what's going on behind the scenes, because it's some of it is just completely brilliant. And the way he understands how to just throw things out there, because he knows the players are going to hear a little bit of it. There's a method to every bit of his madness. And, he taught me a ton about how to treat players. He taught me a ton about how to handle top players. He taught me a lot about winning. And those are things that I carry with me today. And, nowadays we sit down and talk. It's family, it's friends. It's, he's clearly like a father figure to me now.
Nice. Do any guys ever talk to you about, hey, my career is starting to come to a close and I wanted to go into coaching? Do you ever give them advice?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was a guy who's out there your way, Cam Paddock, who's working North Shore Winter Club there in Vancouver now. He's a former player of mine, and this is just an example, but came across him at a coaching seminar that I did in Ann Arbor, Michigan this summer. And he was asking me that very question, what are the things that I should be focusing on? What are the things that, people at your level are looking for as far as experience and, types of things that they've done, types of areas of the game they've covered. And so it's always great to help a guy like that kind of, start on a foundation that leads to, success. And when I was working in St. Louis, Larry Plow was the general manager, and he explained it to me this way, that you want to cover everything. You want to do as much as you possibly can, because once you get to the National Hockey League, even if you have success, you're still going to get fired. And
right. Once you're hired, you're going to get, you're getting fired, right?
Yeah. At a certain amount of time, like very few guys walk away from the same job they took in the first place. But what you want to make sure you've done is covered all those things, so you don't have to go back to any certain stage and either start over or, cover some more development with young kids, or, learn a certain aspect of positioning for defensemen, or any of those types of things. You want to have that sort of on your resume of been there and done that. And that way, when you have to move, you just move laterally. And it was really sound advice and makes a whole lot of sense to me now. But Cam Paddock was a guy that was asking that. I said, you're working with young kids now. That's perfect. You want to be, everybody wants coaches now who can relate to young people. It's way more about that than it is X's and O's and structure and strategy. It's way more now about how to get your players feeling really good about who they are and how they're playing, and the thousands of different ways you can do that is really the art of the coaching business now.
Which coach on the team is like not who's the star that isn't the star? Like, what coach do we not know about as hockey fans that you guys know about? Without them, it's a struggle for you guys.
Well, I'll say this to you guys, but if this coach hears it, we'll just pile a whole bunch more you know what, on top of him, just so he doesn't feel all good about himself.
Okay, good.
But our video guys are the absolute workhorses behind what we do as coaches. There is so much preparation that goes into. So I sit down before the game and I run a power play meeting, and I'm on the clock from our head coach. I've got between 4 and 6 minutes, and he hates it when I go above 4 minutes. So you can imagine that probably 10 prior games and 3 full games of the team we're playing, all that video has to be categorized and broken down and put in files so that I can get to that. So I can chop all that stuff down into 4 minutes. And it's probably only a minute of video. It's probably 10 clips. They have to be the perfect clip, the right clip. And if it's not there, you ask him for it, and it, you know, he finds it in a matter of minutes. These guys handle so much. They're at the rink before anybody. They stay until everybody's gone. They've got probably 3 coaches. They've got 3 assistant coaches. They got a head coach to worry about. Everybody's wanting different video. You got players after the game. Every player wants his own individual video, and that has to be pushed out to them through whatever system you're using. And so that has to be taken care of. If we ever want anything, say, you know, Brady Tkachuk, for example, and notices that Chris Kreider in New York is scoring a bunch of power play goals. Well, Brady might want to see all those in now. And so our video guys got to be able to pull that stuff now, get it to him, get it in front of him, and make his life real easy. So those guys really, and there's 2 of them. There's 2 guys that handle that job for us, but the hours they put in, they're, you know, they don't go home when we land from coming off the road. They go straight to the rink or the arena, and they're setting up all the gear and the equipment. And every single time we walk into a visiting locker room, we always are complaining. It's automatic. Like, why did you set up this way? Why did you put that over there? Even if it's perfect, we're still going to question everything they've done just to get under their skin for a little bit, get them all riled up. And then that's the environment we like to work under. So it's a good piece of comedy when you get that going.
Good for you guys. Take it. Give them a little bit of a, I like you. I don't like you.
Yes, right. Oh, yeah, exactly right.
Jeff?
Hey, so Painter, you just talked about it. So today's game is obviously, you've been in it a long, long time. It's changed a lot. So back when we played, back when you started coaching, you talked about video. Another word you hear all the time is analytics. You know, you're sitting there right at ice level watching everything happen. You just kind of talked about the importance. I mean, you see what you see. The analytics might say something else. Video doesn't really lie, right? You can show a player where, hey, maybe next time we need you here. Like, analytics is kind of taking over, but I mean, in the end, the game a lot of times is won and lost in the trenches, as they say, in the hard areas. How much is analytics now starting to become a part of what you guys are doing, and how do you kind of decipher what you need to get, you know, what to use and what to kind of push away? Because there's so much information coming at these guys.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this topic, could take days. But for us, and me specifically, what analytics does for me is it either raises a question or it answers a question. And so you've got to first figure out what are the analytics that are important to your team or that specific player. And so, for example, when we were in Los Angeles, we had a guy who was, you know, analytics, you know, there was this much. And by the time we were in Los Angeles, there was so much available that you had to, the big trick was deciphering what actually mattered to your team. And so he would come down with a list of 300, no lie, 300 different analytics. And he'd pick one, and we were last in the league at this. And so we'd say, okay, well, last is not good. Let's find out why we're last. And it was shot blocking, and we were first in the division, but last in shot blocking. And so it was just based on how we played our system. Our system you didn't stand there and wait for a guy to shoot. You went at him hard and didn't allow him to shoot. And so that was how we did it. Now, Calgary at the time was number 1 in shot blocking, but worst in the division. So we were kind of like, all right, this is not our statistic. So we said to him, here's 10 games where we as coaches felt our team played extremely well. Tell us what analytics we were good at in those games, and let's focus on those analytics and see where that takes us. Now, the same could be true for a player. If it's a defenseman, you can find an analytic where you complete a certain percentage of neutral zone passes and you're at an 87% rate. Well, that's just, if you can pass to your partner back and forth and back and forth, and the other team just lets you do that, then you're a great back and forth passer, but that doesn't help us play fast or do any of that stuff. So it kind of has to be fit to what the team is doing, what the player is doing. And so I kind of look at it where if you have possession rates and success rates, if a guy is making 7 out of 10 plays, and that will show up, obviously as a 70% analytic, then he's probably in the sweet spot. If he's in the 60 range, he can probably do a little bit more. And if he's at the 80% range, he could probably try a higher degree difficulty of a play, if that makes sense. If he's nailing the easy dive, we can send a guy out there and have him do a different dive. But if he's had a low percentage, then he's got to change his play selection, or he's got to get better at certain areas. But for me, they're great ways to call a player in and say, you know what, this is what I think. This is what the video shows. And hey, by the way, here's your analytic and here's your comparable analytic. I'll take 3 players that are in his peer group, his position, his, style of play. For Brady Tkachuk, let's say I'm not gonna compare him to Austin Matthews, but I am gonna compare him to the Chris Kreiders and the big body heavy players, where they're having success and where their plays are getting made. So we boil it down in a number of different ways, but we are specific to what question is being asked and what question is being answered. It's really important because the players get all that and they can't decipher it all. They need to have 2 or 3 simple things. Again, getting back to make them feel good about a little bit of information instead of you give them all that information. I mean, we're not students studying physics and chemistry. This needs to be simple for us, and it works a lot better that way.
Hey, so talking about Ottawa, I mean, Ian and I, we're hardly we do the podcast and think we know what we're talking about, but it looks like lot. Yeah, I was
in a chimpanzee movie that played hockey. I know a lot.
We look at Ottawa, and you got to be pretty excited about what's going on there this offseason. A lot of really big moves. So just kind of talk about, you guys are in the you're swimming with sharks there in that division, but you got to feel really good about where things are this summer as you start looking towards the fall and training camp with the players that you've added.
Yeah, I think there's a general feeling with our staff and our organization that we've turned the corner. Most importantly, we've turned the corner with a really good foundation in place. We play a certain way, we approach the day a certain way, we work at a certain level. We compete in the tough areas a certain way, and that's kind of sort of a badge of honor and an identity for us. And so with that, all our young players getting another notch better, another year older. Then you had a guy like Alex DeBrincat, who's established superstar in the league, Claude Giroux, who's an established superstar with a lot of experience. The goaltending, I feel like we've shored that up with Cam Talbot coming over. And I think, we're all kind of still hoping that there's a defenseman out there that we can make a move on. And that would really kind of shore everything up for us and say, okay, now we've got way more depth. We've got way more offensive talent, which was a problem piece in the past. Now we know how this game works. We know what our opponents are all about. We know how good we have to be. So, let's take that next step. And so I think everybody's really excited about that. Talking to all these young players this summer, they're really excited about the support that they've had. I mean, there's some long nights when you're in that division, like you say, you've got the Tampas and the Bostons and the Torontos and the Floridas, and you're a 22, 21-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid, and you're facing really tough matchups. You're playing against men, And if you don't outperform those guys, there's no support behind you to help the team win. It can be frustrating. And I think we've got that support for him now. So I think everybody feels really good about that.
Do you, when a trade like DeBrincat and Giroux comes to town, do you guys get introduced to them right away, or how does that happen?
Usually goes through the general manager and the head coach. They'll get in contact with these guys right away. They'll obviously have so many different conversations going on with friends and family and agents and teammates and new teammates, old teammates. I, as an assistant coach, I just give them a couple weeks and then call them just to say hello. And especially if they're in an area that I'm going to be coaching and working with more actively, like DeBrincat and Giroux are obviously power play guys. So there'll be guys that I've reached out to and talked to and just kind of start a relationship there and check in with them as the summer goes along. But I can tell you both guys are absolutely thrilled, excited, and talking to Claude, he's like, I wish training camp started next week. So it's a real good place for our guys to have established guys coming in with that sort of whatever it is, hunger or new excitement or all that kind of stuff. I think it's just going to be something we can really parlay into a strong start.
When you get a trade like that with a DeBrincat that is such a superstar, do you question it? Do you go, what do you think, what's going on in Chicago that they let him leave, or you're like, ha, suckers? Or, what? Because
we've been on the other end of those so many times. I don't question anything anymore.
Because I know when I seen it, I was like, what the is going on here? Like,
No, we've sat there on a couple of trade deadlines, and we've had that very same thought process as to what's going on here. When is this gonna start turning? When do we have to stop taking it on the chin and start helping our guys get better with better players? And I think we've done that now, and so that's all part of it. I mean, Chicago's going to go through it. Anybody else who's sort of stripping down and trying to collect assets and draft picks and young players, it's not fun.
You have to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah, there's no other way. I mean, you look at perfect example, Florida, like they just traded for Matthew Tkachuk, big trade there, but I think they don't have a first round pick for 4 years now. And boy, you better get winning, because it, just like those arms races we had out when I was out in Los Angeles, man, like, it was us, San Jose, and Anaheim. And we were all doing the same thing. We were all collecting big talented centermen. We were all spending all kinds of money. We were spending all kinds of draft picks to try to win. Now, we won 2 of them. San Jose and Anaheim didn't, and they're
just as bare. Yeah,
they all kind of went through the rebuild same time, right? But only one got to win. So
do you get nervous in a smaller market like Ottawa when you do see the Tkachuk brother leave Calgary? Do you guys think, oh, could we be along that line too at some point?
Yes. Yes and no. I mean, there's some differences playing in Canada, but it's a smaller city, but not a smaller market. Like, it's Canada. Like, there's no escaping any part of the hockey world. Everybody
right, you're not pumping gas without them telling you to shoot it.
Exactly right. It's not like you're going to, I mean, Los Angeles, you didn't really see a lot of hockey fans on a daily basis, and
right,
I'm sure in Arizona or where some of these Sunbelt places, there's a whole lot less attention. But I think
kind of, I guess, helps some guys out though, right? To be hidden like that helps them out, helps them play better.
I think so. You're perfect, because you look at the two different situations. You look at Toronto and the pressure there, and then say look at Tampa. Like, they've got good teams, but the pressure is way different. I mean, there's nothing but hockey fans down in Tampa, and there's nothing but critics in Toronto. I mean, everybody knows everything. So
yeah, Jeff, I know you got to get going soon, so we'll have to you got a couple more for
no, you know what, it's good to I think with what happened in Calgary with Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk getting traded to Florida, I think it's a real shot in the arm. People, Ian and I talk about this. People take it personally up in Canada, but it's good to see Ottawa and Painter, where you are. You guys are on the rise, and that's kind of a shot in the arm, because people that might not know is when you're in Canada, like Davis says, the whole country knows what you're doing. It's not just one city. I want to ask you quickly about video review, and the game's cooking along real nice, and then all of a sudden we got a video review. Do you guys just kind of sit there and go, well, this is a coin flip, or do you guys have an idea of, after watching it for many years now, which way you think it's going to go? Tell just a little bit on your thoughts on video review.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, I think we got one wrong, and our head coach just flew off the handle in between periods. And that's the one pressure point our video guys have, is if they're radioing to me on the bench, challenge this one, they better be right, because as soon as that door opens in between periods, here comes the maddest buffalo you ever seen. But I would say that, I don't know, 90% of it you can understand. The goalie interference ones are the ones that are just kind of, they're tricky enough, because you just don't ever know, did he get pushed in, did he not get pushed in, how long does a goalie need to be able to get back into position. And so there's some judgment stuff going on there that is really hard to understand. I mean, we had the new rule, like the Colorado goal where Cale Makar was pushing the puck, but puck was not on his stick. We had one of those in Columbus this year, exact same situation, but Brady Tkachuk was jumping over the boards and sliding along the boards out of the zone. At the same time, our guy did not have his stick on the puck. Now, Colorado got their goal, we didn't. And so it was completely reversed of the version of the decision that happened in the playoffs. So, I mean, it's tough, but I would say 90-95% of the time, everybody understands it. It's the 5% that everybody jumps up and down and screams like idiots, or,
It's never going to be 100%. You're going to, no matter what. So you got to kind of, it's like when you're driving and you get cut off and you flip out. You're going to cut somebody off by mistake at some point. So there's no point in flipping out. You just got to go with it. You got to.
Yeah.
I love it. I have a question for you. 12-year-old kid in Kamloops. Does he now, okay, 12-year-old Davis Payne Kamloops now shows up at your house and knocks on the door and says, so this is where we ended up. Would he known any of this was going to happen?
Probably not. I just knew how much I loved the game, and I just kind of let that direct me. I always enjoyed working on my game, shooting in the net, rollerblading, doing all that kind of stuff, skating on the outdoor rinks by myself. Like, I just always kind of enjoyed that, and just, it took me where it took me. And each place I went was another step and a chance to meet new people and learn from them and get better from them and have some fun with them. And so it was more about just kind of letting your passion kind of guide you more than it was, hey, I'm going to be an NHL person. It was more just love the game and let it take you as far as it can go.
Do you think most guys that play in the league now, they had that love of the game, like it's the love of the game, or did they have the drive? Were they pushed to be superstars or to be, professionals? Is it the love of the game?
I think deep down, everyone has it. Everybody's playing at this level. I don't think you can get to this level without having some real passion for it. Mm-hmm. But in saying that too, these guys are so much more prepared. Skill this, practice, everything is so structured. Training, diet. I never knew what training was. I mean, I trained for the cover of a bodybuilding magazine. It didn't help me play hockey, but look good in a Speedo.
Right.
But these kids now know everything.
Yeah.
So
look good in a Speedo.
Maybe not.
In Australia, they call those budgie smugglers.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm past that game now.
Do you look at it sometimes with these guys and do you wish there was a little bit less of that? Do you think that kind of takes the imagination out?
Yeah, and I think that's where we are right now at the development process and the young stage part of, 15, 16, 17, these kids in junior. And then once we draft them through development process, I think that's kind of where we're trying to get that back. That's sort of the approach with these skill coaches, and you're trying to let the imagination go. Like you see some of these young stars coming in, they do things and try things and are able to do things that I never even thought existed. And even when I see them, I can't even believe that they can do some of the things they do with a hockey puck. And so it's just a matter of, they see one guy do it, and now all of a sudden, it's like they're out there at the skateboard park, working on different things and working on harder and harder and harder things. And they love the cool, they love the skill, they love the highlight stuff, and good on them. I think that's where the game is really starting to kind of roll back to, and we encourage it from our young players. We don't want any of it to go away unless it's at the wrong time, and then we just kind of, that's check that one to a learning experience. But
let's not do it then.
I think these young kids have that sort of swagger for the newness of the game and the creativity of it.
Jeff?
That's it. Thanks, Davis. Appreciate your time and input. And I'd love to keep talking to you all day, but I got to run. So I'll kick it to Ian, but thanks so much for coming on, and I really appreciate it. Good luck. We'll be keeping a close eye on you in Ottawa, and hopefully at some point we might be able to touch base with you again and see how things are going.
No, that'd be awesome. Good seeing you again. It's been a long time, but thanks for having me.
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah, it sure has. I'll stick my head over the glass when you guys come through town. Say hi.
See ya.
Okay, take care.
Thanks for Davis. Thanks, Davis, for dropping by to see us, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you in North Carolina when I do a show in a couple of days. I'll see you up there.
There you go. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Great time with Davis. Just impressive. Still in shape too. Still wears his Speedo wandering around the place.
I think he was getting a little nervous. He toweled down a couple times. I think he was waiting for us to come hard. So just for those of you that don't know,
she's like, when's the chirp happening?
He wasn't sure. I think he was ready for like WWE SmackDown, and we went the other direction on him. So
such a good guy, and very nice family. I used to love it. They'd come to the shows in Hermosa Beach, all the staff, and then we'd hang out afterwards at the poop deck across the street, which is one of the bars down there in Hermosa, and have some drinks and stuff. Good guy. Glad it's going well for him, and it looks like Ottawa is going to get much stronger this year.
Yes.
What do you think of the West? What do you think of the West?
I think Vancouver and Edmonton have done some good things. Calgary, really, you know what? They shored up. They lost their two of their top guys. They brought in Huberdeau. That's people are maybe don't know a lot about him out west. He's fantastic. Uyghur is going to plug a hole on the fence because Goodbranson left, who had just a phenomenal year for them. So they look good. Vegas hasn't really done much. LA, I like where LA's going. I like what LA did. And, Seattle's trying to do some things. San Jose kind of in between right now. But the big one is Klingberg signing a 1-year deal in Anaheim.
Didn't Puljujarvi just go sign there? Somebody who just signed there? Some another European.
Puljujarvi re-signed in Edmonton, but
somebody I can't remember.
Vetrano signed in Anaheim.
Jesse Smollett. He's he's pretending he's getting a breakaway, but he's not got a breakaway. Anyways, the stupidity coming out of me today. I apologize. But I think Anaheim's is going to be something to deal with too. I don't think they're going to be. They may not be a winning team, but they're not going to be a losing team. You're not just going to go in and take 2 points.
Well, Klingberg is going to get all the ice time he can handle. And if you look at their defense there, you got Klingberg. I mean, they could play him with Cam Fowler, but Cam Fowler is one of the, I think he's fantastic. So they've got some good D there. They got some young guys. I think this is a show me contract, right, for Klingberg. It's a 1-year deal, but it also sends a message to the young guys in Anaheim that the new GM, Pat Verbeek, is going to go out and get players that are available. This deal really is a no jeopardy deal for Anaheim. I think it sends a message to the team that, hey, listen, if we can go get somebody, we will. I think Anaheim kind of pulled a fast one. Not everybody has $7 million a year though to go sign a guy, and that probably helped them too. They got lots of cap space.
Right. Who do you think's around him, like as far as price wise, where people are going,
What as far as like a similar player?
Yeah,
or
like a
guy's
similar
getting paid similar.
a guy that's getting paid similar that might be a little less of a player.
Well, I know you had said to me that Vancouver was rumored to get him. So Tyler Myers makes $6 million a year. Klingberg makes $7 million, right? So, I think Vancouver would have liked to have tried to maybe move on from Myers if they could have. So there's $1 million difference, right? But Klingberg's going to give you 25 to 30 minutes a night. I mean, he'll give you 25. Really good skating defense.
What does Myers play? About 20?
Yeah, I would say Myers is 18 to 20. I mean, when they had those injuries, he's probably a little higher. I think Myers, I know in Vancouver, they're not thrilled with it, but, he became a free agent. There's 2 guys that became free agents probably at the wrong time. Myers became one at the right time. Vancouver was willing to pay. I forget how many years they signed him for, 4 or 5, I think, $6 million per. And then you got a guy like Klingberg who couldn't find really anywhere to go. So he signs a 1-year deal.
Couldn't find a runway.
Yeah, and now he's going to be circling around, doing his thing, and looking for a place to land on a longer term deal next year. But
Do you think the same thing's going to happen with Kadri?
I don't know what's going on with him. That's really interesting. You hear teams say, "Oh, well, they're waiting to move somebody." You know what? If you want somebody, you find a way to get them. If I'm Kadri, if I'm Kadri's and I'm him right now, I'm looking at my best option, and his best option might be taking a discount to go back to Colorado, but he knows they're going to be one of the top teams in the league. So
might be fun if he went to Calgary, though. He'd be playing he has to go through his old team.
Yeah, I mean, Calgary could probably put him on their payroll. Seattle could for sure.
Absolutely.
Out west.
That'd be a great grab by Seattle.
Yeah, the question is for a guy like Kadri, he's been very specific before, but where he will and won't go. And I think now we're starting to see, obviously there's probably some teams that made some offers to him that weren't, what he was looking for. So he's going to have to take a little bit less money to go to a good team, because the good teams end up with the highest salary caps normally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. If you got a lot of room, you're not that great of a team. So, which was pretty amazing how the Avalanche were able to keep that. They had a lot of room and still be, you knew where they were going. The rocket was leaving Earth and going. So that was good for them.
Well, they had a lot of their young guys tied up to long-term deals, like Nathan McKinnon, $6 million a year. It wouldn't be a stretch.
42 years.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a stretch for him to be at 12 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next contract. So
that's true.
Colorado, good for them though. They're taking advantage of it, and they have the runway again. They've got an open runway they can land on. They can, or take off. They can go for it again. I think they'll be right there.
Before we wrap up, the one that I hear floating around too now is the Kane leaving Chicago and looking for another home. And who's got money? Buffalo. And where's Kane from? Buffalo.
Yeah. I think on that kind of team, they look like they're turning the corner. Mm-hmm. A guy like that can make such a difference, and especially like special teams. He's not going to kill penalties for you, but if you look at these teams with these high-end power plays, St. Louis, Edmonton, these guys are in the playoffs and they're able to go a little ways in the playoffs. Obviously, St. Louis ran into the juggernaut, Colorado, and then Edmonton ran into them. But they're winning rounds because of their special teams and those players performing. It's tough enough to play 5v5 in the league. If you're up against a team that's operating at a high level in their special teams, there's a really good chance that team carries on. So Kane absolutely could fit in Buffalo and would maybe be the jolt that organization needs, because it seems like they're getting back on track too.
Nice. Well, this is a long episode, so let's get her wrapped up here. Got any shout outs this week?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to take a shout out to all the people that come out on Sundays or the weekends with their boat and then don't know how to back it into the water.
Some of my favorite videos on TikTok.
Yep. It's one of the all-time great things. So we were out on the lake, and as everybody knows, Lake Mead's it's kind of had some trouble keeping its water the last couple of years because there hasn't been any around here. So they keep moving the launch out. So, if you can jackknife your trailer once, jackknife it 3 or 4 times. So I think what we should do is have a volunteer. This is what I say. Let's have a volunteer go stand down there. We should take turns. Like, you got a 2-hour shift and you help people get their trailer into the water. Like, if you do that,
great idea,
on a Tuesday, and people are learning how to back their trailers in the water. I'm like, awesome. On Sunday afternoon, and you know what? You're like, hey, Jeff, why are you on the lake Sunday afternoon? Well, I have an answer for you. I was out there because our niece was in town and she wanted to go to the lake. So I'm like, okay. And as Ian likes to say, we risked it. And it was unbelievable getting in. We got in like right away, getting out. A guy broke down on one side, and then we got in a line, and then no one could back their trailer in the water. So it took 90 minutes to get out. But
it's a great idea.
That's a shout out to all you people that don't know how to back your trailer up.
It's a good idea for a business just to be standing out there. We'll back up your trailer.
Yeah, like even for
$5,
10 or 15, $20, people will be all over you, But so that's my shout out to all the people.
Until you see one truck drive away with the guy in it. Suckers. My shout out to Scott Darling, who came out to Houston with me this weekend and did his first MC job. He did 4 shows with me, MC'd the shows. Did great. It's pretty funny seeing somebody start a new career, and he did great. He did laugh when one of the shows I yelled out, "He's the richest guy in here." Keep it going for him. He's the richest guy in here. Doesn't need your shit.
Hey, did he introduce the 5th most popular podcast? Are you still going with that?
No, he called. I'll use that this weekend. He used Canada's Comedy Pride. I'm like, you don't know me that well, do you? They pretend I'm from Australia. So, but it was a good weekend. Headed off to Raleigh this weekend. Come out and see us at the Improv. Blah, blah, blah. Have a good week, Jeff.
Hey, and I just want to remind everybody, we're not here for a long time. We're just here for a good time. Love to all.